When I tell you, sometimes when you don't obey, God has his own way of shouting or yelling or make you understand what I said. And he's like, I said what I said. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Val and I make videos around faith and lifestyle. And in today's video I wanted to do a faith-based video, and this is something that is so close to my heart that God has been putting in my heart for some time now, and it's about obedience. And there's so much that I would say about obedience. If there's anything that you will take from my life, it will be obedience, faith, and surrender. Sometimes I don't really think we understand what we mean by saying, God, use me for your glory. God, I surrender. Use me. God will test your faith. God will test your faithfulness. He will humble you. I think what God has been teaching me is to just even involve him in the small details of like, God, do I do this? God, do I go here? And to a point where sometimes we really have things we want to hear from God, but that means with obedience you have to be open-minded, because sometimes you go to God with your own answers that you want to hear from him. And what I was saying is, from God, what do I wear? What do I say? What do I do? Like, God is really interested in the details of our lives. That's why he really wants a relationship with us, but as we think that we can do without him. And from this YouTube channel itself, it is a result of obedience. I'm gonna talk about obedience and how it is not even worth. Obedience is so important that it is not even worth disobey. And sometimes when God is telling you to do something or to just get out of your comfort zone, it never makes sense, and we don't realize how much there is protection in obedience. I'm gonna give a few examples of my story, and let me just first talk about this. I was just saying that there is protection that comes with obedience, and we don't realize it. And sometimes it could be from a point of God telling you to not do this, stop entertaining certain kinds of friendships. It could be a point from God telling you to not go somewhere. It never makes sense why God tells you, but later you tend to realize that this is why. You get to understand with time. And obedience pleases God, and it tends to protect us from unnecessary battles. Imagine you just disobeying, and now God has to walk around you from your petty disobedience and work with you again, like with what you were meant to do. It prevents you from unnecessary battles. And let me fast forward to let me give an example about my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel itself was a result of obedience. And for me, last year in August 2020, I knew God was calling me to do YouTube, but it never made any sense. I didn't do anything at that point. I was just like, I remember I was even actually going through my notebook the other day, and I can't remember which date it was, but it was in August 2020, and I knew I had written it down, and I didn't do anything about it. So fast forward to November. In November, your Nomo is gonna, if you don't know her, I'll put her YouTube channel down here. You can go subscribe, follow her on her Instagram page. And what she did was she posted a poster that she has a YouTube channel that she was doing a YouTube masterclass, and I just reposted it, and I was like, that's a very good idea, that's so helpful. And she was like, for anybody who has ever thought of starting a YouTube channel, anyone who wants to start a YouTube channel. And me I didn't overthink it, and I don't even know how she ended up talking me to do the YouTube masterclass. It was like in a month's time. So a couple of weeks, so it was in December. So in December I joined the master class, and I was just, at that point I was really convicted that God is calling me to do YouTube. And so what I mean with obedience, it never makes sense. And what I'm trying to say here is, along the way, God ended up bringing Moyo's call. Big shout out to Moyo. Moyo, you've been such a big, I'd never thank you enough. You've been such a big impact. You've had such a big impact in my journey towards YouTube and everything, and I just thank God for you. You're a blessing to me. And anyway, so fast forward, I was saying, so I did the YouTube masterclass in December, and that's when I set my YouTube launch date and my starting date. I dropped, which was February the 1st of this year. So I dropped my first video on that, and when I tell you, I was not even confident. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just knew God was telling me to just get out of your comfort zone, and He would. I think for me, YouTube just came from a point of God, use me. When God used me for your glory. I didn't know what I was saying. That's what I was saying. I didn't know what I was saying. And God will humble you. He will uproot you from your kakunu najieka to things you never. Obedience makes you, it opens doors for you that you never imagined. So I did my first video. When I tell you, I was even recording from I had an iPhone 7 Plus and an iPhone 6s, and I was even using a mic here, and the quality was bad. Ring light, I had like a small car ring light, and it was bad. It was, you need to go watch my first video, and I was not even confident. I didn't even know what I was doing there. I'm here on YouTube. So what I'm trying to say here is, obedience needs you to trust God through the process. It is not even about, it's just a matter of you just starting and God just endelea what you could provide. Let me take you somewhere else. The same month, so actually initially I even wrote on my vision board, I wanted a Canon G7X and an iPhone 12 Pro Max. I really thought that they will help me improve my, I don't know, the things you just exaggerate and you justify why you're not doing something. That was me. So, but I didn't let that come between. So I just started with what I had, and it was just obedience. So fast forward to the same month in Feb to this year, God just sent an angel, and I got a camera. So just improved my, after my sound, because he has a mic, inakuja mic, and then like even my quality changed. This, I think after some time I also got a bigger ring light, and now there was no excuse. So, and with time, like God even made me, you see what you're seeing now? Me, I was not this confident. It's just all God. I don't know, I'm not where I want to be, but I can't complain. I just see God in everything. And sometimes our obedience is attached to so many people's lives. We don't realize how many people's lives we are carrying from our obedience. And for me, it has just been a point where I didn't even know the type of content I was gonna bring out here. I didn't know what I was gonna say, and it got to a point where I'm like, God, nimekaukiwa na content, what do I put next? And just God tells me, and napata your video inakuwa na impact in so many people's lives, and I'm like, God, I'm just humbled. The point of just, you have to get to a point where you surrender to God, and I'm like, God, use me for your glory. Yes, it will be painful to a point where God will put you into test, and mostly test. Temptations comes from the devil, but God will put you into test to see whether are you ready? Are you ready? Just saying, use me. Are you ready? So it's not easy to obey God's voice, because that's why not everybody obeys. It's not easy to be in a point of obedience. And we are here. That was one of the aspect of my obedience. Another one was, God gave me a book. But when God gave me that book, it never made sense. I was like, God, yeah, I read books, but writing a book, God, me, I don't know. But I was like, okay, but it never made sense. So this one I disobeyed. And I was like, okay. And then I started writing. It never made sense up until beginning of this year. I started writing, and it got to a point I was writing. I was just writing. I got even to chapter 6. But this time, it got to a point where I stopped praying about writing this book. I'm writing with God and the Holy Spirit, and I was just writing from just me. And there's a time I was just dry, like God, what do I write next? What's the next chapter? And I'd gotten up to chapter 6, and I remember I was praying so hard about it, and I was like, God, tell me what you want me to do next about this book. When do I even release it? Like, I was just so so anxious, and I just wanted more. And I remember God told me to start writing this book again, and it's just like, God, how do I start writing again? And I've written all the way to chapter 6, and he didn't argue with me. I just continued. I continued writing, and when I tell you, I was using a Windows laptop. From nowhere, this computer, I woke up in the morning, it was not turning on. I charged it the whole day, the whole night, it was not going on. And I had not saved my document on a OneDrive, so that means ikapotea, the document ikapoteanga. And because I went to Best Buy, they told me I have to send it to CG Windows and CG Institute to Mingi, so I had to get another computer. Fast forward me, God had told me to start writing again, but I chose to disobey. But sometimes the problem is not that God is not speaking to us. The problem is that we are not listening. We are disobeying. So I knew clearly God had told me to start writing again, but I argued with him, and I chose to continue. And to a point where I have started writing this book again, and now it just makes sense. When I'm saying obedience, it never makes sense that time, but now it just makes sense that I have a bigger picture of the book, like what God is revealing to me that I did when I initially started. That's why God recommended me start again, because now I have more details. So I'm still writing. I started writing my book again, and what I mean is disobedience. There's a price that you will pay for disobedience, and for me, it was God had to make something happen to my computer for me to listen. And sometimes God has a way of shouting and yelling when you don't listen. That's what I'm saying. Like, disobedience is not worth it. It's not worth it. Me today, I just want to challenge you with just one question, and this is, what is that one thing God has told you to do? It could be write that book, it could be start that YouTube channel, it could be make that phone call, text that person God has put in your spirit. It could be seclude yourself from certain environments. It could be don't go somewhere. It could be don't do this. And there is protection that comes with obedience. Sometimes it never makes sense at that time, but when you look at it, you go like, yeah, this is why God didn't want me to do this. And I just want to challenge you to be quick to listen to God's voice, and sometimes delayed obedience is also disobedience. And I think you can go read in Deuteronomy 28. It talks about the blessings and the curses of obedience, and about disobedience as well. And I just want you to be quick to listen to the Holy Spirit, and there's a reward that comes with obedience. It never makes sense, but it will make sense with time. And with time, God will provide what you need as you go. So don't disobey what God is telling you to do because you have no resources, because you don't know what to do. But God desires that with the willingness from your heart. There's just the small mustard seed, the small faith of a mustard seed, and you obeying God is just you showing that you trust and believe that He will order your steps. So, what is that one thing that you need to do that God has said you do and you're not doing? Start that YouTube channel, write that book, go to that city God has told you to move to, do that one thing God has told you to do. And I think you know what God has said, because He said, my sheep know my voice, and if you really surrender and seek His face, you will get to know what He desires for your life. So yeah, I think for me, this YouTube channel itself has just been a blessing, and it's been crazy to see how many doors and opportunities that have opened from just obeying and just being on a platform that I never thought I'd be. Even when I tell you, if you met me a year ago, this is not me. It's just, all this is just God, and He gets all the glory. And yeah, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, share, like, comment, and let me know what you think about this video down below, and I will see you on my next video for more content. And bye.